living la vida low carb. This show is changing lives. We talking about your diet, trying to get you feeling right. Cut up them avocados, fry some eggs, time to explore the longest running health podcast, hosted by Jimmy Moore. Time to give up the crappy garbage, we're getting into ketosis. Every day is a new step to your goal, yeah, you're getting closer. Motivated and focused, don't stop, just go. Time to get inspiration from the Living La Vida Low Carb Show. Hey, the livinglowcarbshow.com.
Guys, Raymond, right there. Raymond Nazon, is that how you say your last name?
Yes, Nazon. Yes.
Nazon, okay. I knew I was going to slaughter it with my southern accent. So Raymond Nazon, go check him out. He makes it very easy to find him. It's his name. That's his name. Raymond Nazon, Nazon, for those of you listening later. And Raymond is a carnivore diet success story. He's the same age as me. And you were like talking on your live the other day. You're like, yeah, I'm 49. So it's cool to have like an old guy showing what carnivore diet. I'm like, hey, that's not old.
I didn't know we were the same age. So this is awesome to hear. This is awesome.
When is your birthday?
June 25th.
Okay, so you
72.
49.
Yeah.
So I got about 6 months on you. I was born December 27th, 71, and you were born in June of 72.
Okay, right. Oh, so you're about to be 50 then.
Yeah, I'm turning 50 in December later this year.
December, yeah. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Great.
You're giving me like hashtag goals to try to get myself into the same shape. Because, dude, like I was bragging on you. I posted your picture. Let me see if I can find that nice before and after picture. There it is. I was bragging about you and how you went from that to that. And it's amazing. And so tell us your carnivore story. I wanted people to know about you, and we're going to encourage them. Guys, he is in a contest we're going to tell you about here in a minute. Go to his profile when we're done doing the interview. Click on the profile. He's got a link in there that will let you vote for him, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But first, let's hear your story.
Yeah. So my story started when I went to my nurse and they told me I was pre-diabetic. I had an A1C of 6.0. This was the first time that they measured A1C, so I've probably been diabetic for a while. I had the big waist side. I'm sorry.
6.0 is right on that borderline. Diabetic. They now clinically say it's 7. Really, anything over 5.5 is not great. So 6.0.
Right. So she was saying I'm pre-diabetic, and she said that this is a progressive disease. She's like, look, because of your waist size, because of your weight, you're obese. I weighed right about 240 something at the time. She said I had very low HDL.
How old are you?
I'm 5'11".
Oh, 5'11". So you were 240 pounds at 5'11". Go.
Right. So, and then so she said, look, you can't get away with this. You're going to be diabetic one day. I was like, wow, that was discouraging right there. I was like, well, is there anything I can do about this? She's like, you could manage it with diet and exercise and diet. The normal talk they say, but you could manage it.
Did you inquire what that meant?
I did, actually. And she said that, meaning that you're going to be diabetic, but it's going to be a lot slower. You could slow it down. That's all she said.
Yeah, they think it's this slow, progressive march towards death.
That's it. That's absolutely right. And that's exactly what she thought. I mean, she looked at me like she pitied me already.
Yeah.
Like she knew that I would get, I would be down the line to get my foot amputated, my eye or whatever, blind.
Jason Fung talks about this all the time, of like the 2 big lies about diabetes. And that's one of them, that it's this slow, progressive, you're just inevitably going to get worse and worse and worse and worse till you die. Amputations, organs shut down. And it's like, my God, is that the best the mainstream medicine community can give us, is no hope?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, when she talked to me, she was like pretty much, sealing my, and then she scared the crap out of me. I'm like, I got 2 kids, I don't want to do this. And she's like, yeah, go ahead and try exercise and, you know, do the diet. We can recommend you the diet. They showed me the diet that they recommended. You already know what it is.
Yeah.
Very high carb, you know, high sugar.
Diabetes diet.
The diabetes diet. Yeah.
Ironic that a diabetes diet has all these foods that make diabetes worse.
Right. Exactly. So I was like, okay, look, you know, by then I was kind of already reading up on Weston Price. So I knew enough to say, hey, hold up, you know, that I don't buy that. Okay. So I was like, I think my diet's okay. You know, I still had a lot of carbs. I still had a lot of sugar, but, you know, I had a lot of fat also. So I knew about the goodness of fat because of the Weston Price. So I was like, let me try exercise. So I actually bumped into a friend that was doing Orange Theory, and, you know, I was impressed at how great she looked. And she's like, yeah, this is what I did. And I was like, okay, I'll try that. And I told myself this when I first started, is like, I'm really going to give this a shot. I'm really going to try and see what I can do. So I told myself, look, even if I show up and walk back out, I'm still showing up. I'm going to keep doing this. So I did it for 7 months, and I managed to, I started off 1 day a week because that's all I could handle. I mean, you know, I was the type of guy that could barely get out of the couch without a lot of pain.
So did you say Orange Theory?
Orange Theory. Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Describe it.
CrossFit. You know what CrossFit is,
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of CrossFit with treadmills. Think of that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a softer version of CrossFit.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not really into the heavy weights. It's more like, you know, but it's a hit, high intensity.
Or the gym that looks like a chop shop. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't look like that. Yeah, kind of made up gym of whatever, with tires and all that kind of stuff. This was actually weights and rowing machines and treadmills. Yeah, so it's nice, but, you know, mostly women love doing these. So, you know, not many there and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. Okay, so, you know, I managed to get up to 7 days a week and did it for 7 months. And that was sheer willpower. Look, Jimmy, I had heel spur, plantar fasciitis. So getting on that treadmill was
painful.
I mean, it was sheer pain and willpower. Okay, and that's what I used to get me through that 7 months.
Were you eating the crap diet, the diabetes diet with that? Is that what you were
doing?
No,
I did the Weston Price diet. I kept on that. Right. So I actually gained a pound after that 7 months, and I looked no skinnier than before. So that was to my dismay. So pretty much I wasted that whole 7 months, right? So I started Googling. You know, I talked to my nurse, and, you know, she's like, well, you know, it just is, you're doing great on the workout. You know, you might think about doing the diabetes diet, you know, and I was like, I'm not doing that. So I decided to research, you know, did the Google thing, what they tell you not to do, how to cure diabetes. And then I saw dietdoctor.com and all of these places that are saying, hey, these guys reverse their diabetes. And I'm like, well, hold up now. My nurse told me that was pretty much a progressive disease. So that caught my curiosity. I'm like, all these people lie? I was like, well, so then I started researching, and I'm reading story after story after story. You know how Diet Doctor has a bunch of these stories, right? And I'm like,
Andreas Ienfeld is amazing.
Yeah, Andreas.
He had a Swedish blog called Kostdoktorn, and I said, Andreas, that's a great blog in Swedish, but we need an English version. I'm like, what does Kostdoktorn mean? And he said, Diet Doctor. I said, dude, make dietdoctor.com. And then he did, and now it's one of the biggest in the world.
You were the one that talked him into this? This is great. Well, that saved my life. You have no idea. I automatically joined, and, you know, I read everything, watched all the documentaries and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I immediately went on the low-carb, high-fat diet that, you know, Diet Doctor recommended. I kid you not. Within the first 2 weeks of doing that diet, I lost 10 pounds, but I looked like I lost 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it.
All the inflammation came down very quick, it sounds like.
Do you know how I felt after that? Because the nurse told me that this was progressive. I was probably going to keep increasing my weight.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, it felt like I was lied to. I was like, what the hell? Right. And so here's the thing. After the first month, I ran my first 5K in, I don't know, 10 years or 15 years. It was a sucky 5K. It was a walk run. I did it in a 15-minute mile pace.
Wow.
Which is horrible, but I did it. You know, this is from a guy who had a hard time getting off the couch. Okay. So, you know, I was surprised I could do that. So I'm just saying this because this is how much my health was turning around. I had more energy. All of this stuff started happening.
Fast. Really
fast. Exactly. Fast. And that was the key. I was surprised how fast this was happening. Well, so, you know, I only promised myself.
You know what that does psychologically for people that see very fast results? It's one reason I love low carb, keto, and carnivore types of diets is you see very fast results, which then motivates you to want to keep it going. Even if it slows down, that initial quickness, which is the dumping of the glycogen stores, the lowering of the inflammation, the lowering of the insulin, all the things that we know that these diets do. And it gives you that oomph to kind of say, all right, I think this one's going to be a keeper.
Yeah. So I told myself I was only going to do this for 6 weeks because the gym had a promotion saying, hey, do a 6-week shred challenge, whatever, you know. Yeah. So I said 6 weeks. I can handle changing my diets for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So after that, I was like, I felt great. I mean, I was on top of the world. You know, of course, I was thinking about going on, but my wife was like, hold up. You're not doing this. We're going on a trip to Canada. You know, this was around Christmas time. And I was like, okay, I guess that.
What year?
That was in 2016.
16, okay.
Yeah. And then that might have been 2016 or 2016. Yeah. And then I went ahead and we went to Canada. You know, took that month off, and lo and behold, I started gaining weight.
Yes.
I must have gained that 10-pound right back.
Yes.
So. And I started looking at it, like it, puffy face, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is the powerful thing. Just as getting off the carbs drops that inflammation, drops that weight and everything like lickety split, getting back on the carbs has a commensurate quickness in the way it comes back on with the bloat and the inflammation and the increased insulin. So it's not surprising. And it probably taught you, holy crap, look at the power of this food.
Not only that, I started feeling like crap again.
Yes.
So I was like, you know, I came back and talked to my nurse some more, and she's like, you shouldn't do this diet. I'm like, okay, because this will end up leading to heart attacks. You know, this is a very bad idea. So, you know, she's trying to scare me out of it and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I already felt it. So I was like, look, this doesn't make sense to me. It's like all of a sudden I ran a 5K that I never been able to do before. She's like, okay, temporarily, maybe you'll lose weight and all that kind of stuff. But long run, this is going to kill you.
That is what they say. And of course, it's all predicated on the diet heart hypothesis where cholesterol, it means something in your body. It doesn't, by the way. All of you playing at home, total cholesterol doesn't really tell you a whole lot. Triglycerides tells you a lot. HDL cholesterol tells you a lot. Inflammation levels, insulin levels, A1C levels, but total cholesterol, LDL, not so much. And so, but that's all they have in their bag, Raymond. If they can scare you over total and LDL cholesterol, then they got you. And unfortunately, they get a lot of people and fool a lot of people into making them believe, because they call high cholesterol hypercholesterolemia, making it sound so dastardly when it just means high cholesterol, and that's not a disease.
Right, absolutely. So I decided, you know, I was going to do another 6 weeks because they had another 6-week shred challenge for January. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. But here's the problem that I had. I was like, under low carb, high fat, I wanted to kind of keep it simple, right? So I pretty much ate meat and greens.
Yes.
I avoided the nuts, all that stuff. Because I noticed that when I eat nuts, like those, just any nuts, I'll tend to overeat it.
Yes. Actually, nuts and cheese are the two things that most keto dieters overconsume because they're so palatable. They're so easy to overconsume.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was like, I was like, is there a way to just leave out the greens? Because I didn't like the greens. I was just forcing it down my gullet because I thought I had to have it.
And at that point, you probably didn't know about things like oxalates and some other
No idea.
plant matter, right?
No clue. So I started asking buddies, the nurse and stuff like that, is it possible to eat just meats? No, you can't do that. You can't go to the bathroom. Don't do this. I heard this buddy that did this and died a few days. I mean, it was very interesting to hear all of the stories that I heard from this, okay? So I was like, okay, well, let me Google. So I did Google. I stumbled into Zero Carb Zen, saw the Anderson story. That was a big motivator for me, the Anderson family. Saw, of course, Amber O'Hearn, Kelly Hogan, all of those. Charles Washington. Joined the Facebook groups, started seeing all these people not only, just doing this, but thriving. And I was like, okay.
And a very
long time.
Yeah.
Right. We're talking 20-year carnivore. And of course, Bear Owsley, 50 years.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, they technically did not, die of heart attacks. Of course, everybody's telling me about Atkins, who supposedly died of a heart attack because of his diet. Yeah. But, I didn't listen to any of that. I was like, I'm just doing it for 6 weeks. I did that for 6 weeks. I kept in olives and coconut oil and all that kind of stuff it was more of a zero carb than anything else. Right. So I did that. And it was phenomenal. This I felt even more on top of than the last one.
Real Good Foods is one of the fastest growing frozen food companies in the U.S. Everything they make is nutrient dense, high in protein, low in carbs, and made from real food ingredients. Instead of using processed flours, everything they make is 100% grain-free and gluten-free, which is how they keep their carbs so low. They can be found at Costco, Walmart, Target, Kroger, and in almost every grocery store nationwide. Or you can order online. Check us out today at realgoodfoods.com and at Real Good Foods on social media.
Let me ask you something, because when people start on a low-carb diet, including Jimmy Moore, you all have in the back of your mind that, I wonder what all this fat's doing to me. Did you have any of those kind of qualms? I know you had already looked into Weston A. Price. I know you had done kind of a low-carb, high-fat, but did you ever have those fears?
I did. I did, and I checked my blood work every time. And guess what? I did a blood work panel test, and my cholesterol shot up like crazy.
Total.
I did total. The NMR, the LDL really shot up. I had. Go ahead.
So you did you did an NMR lipoprofile test, which shows total LDL particles. Small. Do you remember the breakdown?
Yeah, it was all horrible. Small LDL was,
Hold on. What does that mean? All horrible. So what was your small dense LDL and your total LDLP?
I was like at 1,000 something for the small LDL. The dense was, everything showed in a negative effect. That's all I meant.
So you were in pattern B.
Right.
You had only just begun this. This was kind of the beginning of
That's the key. That's the key.
Right.
Okay. I just begun this, but it was enough to have a panic, but I ignored it. I was like, it is what it is. Right. So that's kind of what I said in my mind. So even though my nurse, and my doctor was like, you need to be on a statin now.
Well, and here's the clue. A statin drug, the only benefit it could help with like somebody that's got small LDLP, did you run inflammation markers or anything like that at the same time?
I didn't know about those at the time. Yeah.
Had you run the inflammation, you probably would have been slightly elevated, maybe 3-4, which is not horrible, but it's not great either. Ideally, you want that under 1. And so what the statin would do is it's not the cholesterol lowering effects, it's the inflammation lowering effects that they have. And so while you might have seen a indirect benefit from it, it would not been directly. And what it does to the LDL, by the way, just teaching everybody, including maybe yourself, you've probably schooled yourself a lot on this since then. But, what it does is it eliminates the large fluffy that you have, and it leaves behind those small dents, but then it does one better. It actually oxidizes, kind of rusts up those small dents so they become even more atherogenic. So you're taking this pill to make yourself healthier, and guess what? It makes you even less healthy. That's proven by half of the people admitted to hospitals with heart conditions, heart attack, chest pain, things like that. Half of them are on a statin medication, and yet they still had to be admitted to the hospital. So if they're the answer, why did that happen?
That's absolutely right. And, you know, I was also looking into this stuff, and, you know, thanks to Diet Doctor, I felt a little more comfortable to just say, okay, I'm going to push this on. You know, I'm not going to take these results and just throw everything away. So I did this for the whole 6 weeks, and I actually kept it up for about 2.5 months. But interestingly enough, I did have the chest tightening, and I figured out why later on, but I didn't know at the time. I did have the chest tightening, the higher blood pressure.
Yeah.
And then that wasn't that worrying. But what was worrying was the keto flu that I got.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what that was. So
I
lost.
Electrolytes, you didn't know anything about that?
No, I didn't. I didn't know to high salt to try to avoid that. Also, I knew why the chest started tightening and also the higher blood pressure was because of the rendered fats. I used to drink it off from the beef fat, and I didn't realize that had such a big effect on me.
Right.
Until, you know, nowadays I know. But, you know, I didn't know any of that.
It's a lesson in learning along the way. I think sometimes we get so caught up in, I have to be perfect in order to start. And I'm like, no, start. And then along the way you go, well, that didn't work. So let's shift gears and cut that out. Oh, I need to add this in. And that's the beauty of this way of eating is you kind of tailor it to you.
Absolutely. So, unfortunately, like I said, I didn't know any of that. So I had the keto flu. It lasted for, I want to say it lasted about a month. So the first 2 weeks was horrible. It was the body ache, the slow, low, no energy. I mean, I was walking like a baby everywhere. Headache, constant sinus. It was terrible.
Yes.
So after I got over this, went to, you know, talk to my nurse again, and they're like, see, we told you, this is killing you. This is why we tell you you shouldn't do this. And this time it actually sunk in, and I was like, all right, I guess they might be right. So I stopped. I stayed low carb-ish, and then I started playing with fasting shortly after. So I started reading a lot about Dr. Fung and all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, I had no idea what fasting was before. So really got into it. Thanks to Diet Doctor in that way too for introducing me to Dr. Fung. So, you know, I started just playing around with just a normal, trying to get to 18.6. You know, I remember I remember I was the type of guy, so, you know, to do blood work, I had to fast for 12 hours. And I was like, oh my God, this is so impossible. I don't know how am I going to do this? You know, it's like, so I had to time it just right so I could have my first gorge of a meal right afterwards.
And now the problem is you kind of want to fast a long time before and actually that messes up the readings. You need to kind of
mess it up
12 hours or it actually starts doing things metabolically that can mess with some of your numbers. So word to the wise, if you do go get blood work, stick within that kind of 12 hours because you go too much beyond. I did a 24-hour one time thinking, man, it's going to be badass numbers. It messed with my triglycerides because there was mobilization of fat that kind of, I was like, oh, okay, Jimmy, don't do that again.
Yeah, it changes all the numbers, but I stopped caring about the numbers anyways.
Yeah,
you know, now, but you know, back then I did.
Same.
So yeah, I got scared off of it, and then, like I said, I was messing with fasting. Then Dr. Sean Baker had his Joe Rogan talk. And then he had his N equals many challenge that he had in August.
Yes.
I didn't do that one. And I was kind of ticked because I missed that but he decided to have another one in September because I told myself if he does another one, I'm doing it. So I went ahead with September 15th, 2017. Remember that date because that's when he issued that challenge. And I did it for 3 months. And I told myself, I'm going to do exactly what he says for 3 months.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for that was he said, no supplements. And I was like, No supplements. Look, I'm a supplement guy, okay? I was taking literally two big handfuls, spending about $500 a month. That included with my kids, but still $500 a month in supplements. And he's saying no supplements. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll try it. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to function. I don't know how I'm going to live, but but I did it. So I did it for 3 months, and I was like, already deciding after 3 months, I'm going to add onions and garlic, because I'm like, that's benign. It's okay to add a little bit something. And I felt fantastic. Within that 3 months, I developed my first six-pack.
Wow.
And I was like looking at myself. Of course, I kept fasting in. So
Raymond, did you do the ribeye thing? Is that what you did for 3 months?
I did. No, I was, believe it or not, when I first kind of started, I was more bacon, eggs, and I was doing the easy stuff. I never tried a ribeye until probably the 3rd month in. Yeah, I didn't even know what ribeye tasted like.
Once you have a ribeye, you never want to eat anything else.
That's what happened. I mean, ever since then, the ribeye never stopped. It was
pork belly is also another kind of gateway drug. If you have pork belly, you kind of go,
yeah.
Or when I go to, I always have brisket when I go to Texas. Same thing. It's like, gotta have the smoked briskets.
Yeah. So I mean, so after that 3 months, sure enough, I looked great. I felt great. I was, performing, hitting PRs in my gym, everything. So it was wonderful. So I was like, all right, after the 3 months came, I was like, I told myself I was going to let onions and garlic in. I did. And I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but I didn't. I couldn't sleep for 3 nights. I always had a problem with sleep apnea before carnivore anyways. Insomnia and stuff like that. But I couldn't sleep for 3 nights after the garlic because of the GERD. So yeah, it was incessant. And it's like I had the meaty meals. I just added garlic on there and I added onions. That was it.
And it seemed benign because it's minimal carbohydrate. It was adding more flavor. You thought this is going to be a good thing to kind of add variety. I kind of hate
exactly.
Like, well, carnivore is boring because there's no variety. I'm like, no, it's boring by design because it keeps you focused on what the main thing should be.
Exactly. So I even then I thought to myself, why am I doing this? 5 minutes of pleasure for 3 days of pain.
Yeah.
And to me, that didn't equal. It just doesn't make any sense.
No.
So I kept on with the carnivore diet, and of course, you forget the pain and all that kind of stuff, and time for a cruise. Then I told myself, oh, I'm gonna have some rice. Rice shouldn't be a big deal. Yeah, I did. I had a bowl of rice. Here's what's interesting though, with the rice.
Yes.
I didn't think that was even possible, but I was like thinking a bowl of rice, right? But there was more rice left over, and I couldn't stop eating it. I was just literally binging on the rice.
Yes.
And I couldn't stop eating. I was to the point where I was like overextended, felt miserable.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that night couldn't sleep for another 3 nights because I had the GERD real bad and I just felt horrible.
The people who say carbohydrates aren't addictive, I always tell them, okay, get off of them completely for 30 days and tell me how you feel in about 2.
There it is. You're absolutely right. And and actually it's funny you say that, but that was the first mirror that I had that pretty much said I'm an addict.
Yes.
I'm a straight up addict.
Rice is a real food carbohydrate. You're not even talking about Twinkies or fast food or junk food, French fries, things like that. You're talking about rice, which for some people, if you're metabolically not broken and you're insulin sensitive, some keto people can still have white rice, but for you, it was an obvious hard no.
No way. So of course, I was like, I'm not doing this again. This is stupid. So, I started kind of doubling down instead. So I start after that second time of the rice, I was thinking to myself, why do I do this to myself? Why do I put myself through these pains? Why don't I look forward to restrict even more and have more intense fasting and enjoying my life of freedom that I could see that I could achieve because I'm just hardly ever hungry.
Yes.
Actually, at that time I was feeling very not hungry. And, you know, I'm a big feasting carnivore. I really believe in this, by the way. I really believe in when I eat, I take it seriously. It's work, but I take it seriously. When I fast, I also take that seriously too.
Yes. And I love it because people are like, can I have this on a fast? And I'm like, if it's anything caloric, no.
That's right. So the other thing is I only take water on my fast. I don't do any salt. I don't do any.
Oh, you don't do Oh, dude, I have to have the water, and I do. And I don't guzzle it. I just sip it.
Yeah.
But then I take under the tongue some of the Redmond's real salt.
Yeah.
If I don't, I start getting that kind of fatigued feeling.
Yes.
Why do you think you do okay without salt?
Oh, I do great without salt. Even better. Less inflammation, everything.
Why?
Oh, I don't know the answer.
Well, that's why I'm saying that a lot of people, maybe your system of salt, potassium kind of balance is good. And maybe other people, it's not so good. And so thus those people need to supplement. And I wonder, since you got off the supplements to do Sean's challenge, did you ever add supplements back or did you keep them out?
Wait. So I was not a no salt carnivore then.
Okay.
Just to let you know, I only became a no salt carnivore starting this past year.
Okay.
To be right. Yeah. So, but I noticed that my salt intake just started getting a lot less. So now I did try the snake juice earlier on in my fasting. So I did do all of that. And I did notice how easy it is to fast with the salt water.
Yes.
That I always took it in my mind. That's kind of like cheating, you know, like a training meal.
Look, it's non-caloric. It's giving you electrolytes. Like, I think that's going to be a as you need it kind of thing. And apparently you do pretty well without it. I know Jimmy would be miserable during a fast if I didn't have my salt. When I get those hunger feelings, I do the salt just to kind of revive myself. I've been on podcasts before where I'm in like I did an 18-day fast about 3 months ago. And I was in the middle of a podcast on like day 12 and I'm just like, you know, like putting it in my mouth, desperately trying to get a boost in energy. That's badass if you can do it without salt, man. Mad respect.
Well, no. That's the thing. I take this just like training. To me, this is like in my karate training or jiu-jitsu training. All of these are slow steps. If I'm not ready to do it without salt, then I'm just not ready. I just need to train myself to the point to get to that point. And that's how I look at it. I want water only fasting because if I cannot do it or I have weak energy or I have anything. So there are certain markers that I look for on my fast. If that happens, then I break my fast immediately. One of them is, of course, the energy dip is for a certain amount of time, of course. There is even, you know, there's that little energy dip that always happens through that day. Yeah, exactly. And it only lasts for a certain amount of time. So those I'm okay with. Now, if it's constant lasting, also headache is another one. Diarrhea is another one. Ketone breath is another one. So if I have ketone breath, I know that I've pushed my body too far.
Really?
Yes. So I end my fast any of those reasons.
What's the ketone breath thing about?
Well, I'm just going to tell you my theory, okay? This is Raymond Nazon. This is not approved by any doctor idea. Okay, good. As long as you're okay with this. So the way I see it is the body goes through some heavy detoxing period during the fast. We know this, right? So what happens is that it starts wasting too much energy through the ketones, which is causing the ketone breath. So you're detoxing too fast. Same as diarrhea. The reason you're going to diarrhea, what happens is that all the toxins starts floating around in your bloodstream, but it's not binding to your digestive system fast enough so you can flush it out properly. And it needs to do it fast because it doesn't want it to hang out into your bloodstreams.
Well, anybody that's done a long fast, I'm assuming you mean extended.
Yes, okay, there's a difference because then your body goes into a stasis mode after 3 days. The stasis mode, I'm not comparing that.
Okay.
So after the 3 days, your body is pretty much has slowed down a bunch of things, and then it goes into the stasis mode, and that plays in a whole different factor. I'm talking about between the 24 hours to the 72-hour mark. That's all I play with.
Yeah. Well,
So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Keep going.
No, so, we're talking about when I'm rolling 48s, for example, one meal every 48 hours, I try to do, 10, 12, I'll do a roll for, I do, my fasting period is for the first 6 months of the year, right? So I would literally fast, like doing rolling 48s for the first 3 months of the year. The second 3 months, I would add a 72 on top of that.
So you're doing 48 hours of fasting, eat a meal, 48 hours of fasting.
Yeah.
That the program?
Yes.
Wow.
And really, it's not 48 per se. I like to call it rolling 48, but sometimes 45, sometimes it's 55, sometimes it's, but it's one meal.
You're listening to your body, and if you need to eat it 41, you're going to eat it 41.
Right. But if I don't want to eat until 55, that's what happens.
Right.
So it's kind of like, just one meal every other day, for sure.
Have you experienced the dreaded keto flu? Did you know that most of these symptoms are actually due to your body dumping excess electrolytes? This is where Element comes in. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. Element is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited to folks following a keto, low-carb, or paleo diet. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, with none of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. Everyone needs electrolytes, especially those on low-carb diets, or if you practice intermittent or extended fasting, if you're physically active, or sweat a lot. Add Element today and see how much better you feel and perform. Use the URL drinklmnt.com/Jimmy.
So within that first couple of days, you should not have a whole lot of diarrhea. Definitely day one is just an OMAD. Day two, you may have different things going on. When you keep going beyond day two, though, is when some of those gastrointestinal things can start to happen. I know when I did my 18-day fast, Raymond, I had a pseudonomia on my leg that was an infection. And I was like, I don't want to take antibiotics. I want to fast and see if I can get rid of that. And so I had diarrhea every day, flushing that out of my system, and weird doing that.
Oh, I agree. That does work. So, okay, long-term fasts are totally different. But here's the thing. I always believe that you can train your body to fast.
How?
There's a big difference by feasting correctly.
Yes. Yes.
So the key is not the fast. The key is the feast.
Yes. Like leading up to a fast, people are like, I'm going to start a 7-day fast tomorrow. And I'm like, how have you prepared for that? And they're like, I'm just going to start. I'm like, dude, like you may want to get sufficient in amino acids and fatty acids leading up to that, because that's going to be hardcore on your body. And people just say, well, I can just start. And I'm like, no. Jimmy almost kind of overfeeds on fat and protein from animal sources leading up to a fast, so I can get through those first 2 days of hell, definitely day two, and get to that point where you get to day 3, 4, where it's nirvana to get to 7.
And let me tell you, when you do the 2-day hell, as you call it, constantly, it's next to nothing. I don't get any issues, nothing. I am fully performing. I do let's put it this way. I've done one time where I've done, Orange Theory that morning. And this was on my it ended in my 44th hour, but I did Orange Theory that morning. I did 6 hours of jujitsu. Oh no, I did karate. Sorry. I did an hour of karate after the Orange Theory. And then I did 6 hours of jujitsu afterwards. No problem.
Well, and when you're in that deep of a fasted state, fasted workouts are a thing, by the way, you guys. If you want to mobilize body fat, and as I showed you from Raymond's picture earlier, he had body fat that needed to be mobilized. It's powerful for mobilizing that. And so, wow. And so your energy levels were great. And of course, again, like you said, you trained your body to get to that point. Don't listen to them now, guys, and think, oh, I'll go out and 42 hours of fast, and Raymond said I could go take on the world. Yeah, don't do that. You kind of have to like work your way into
build it up. Yeah, and what I usually coach people on is if I ever tell them something, I'm like, look, feast until. When I say feast, I first tell people the first job, and I know it's kind of weird because, you know, my nurse was telling me I need to eat less and work out more, right? You know, the normal eat less, exercise more. And my actual advice to them when I coach is like, move less, eat more.
Yes. Yes.
And I, you know, and Jimmy, I don't know if you ever have a hard time, but that's one of the hardest things that I can ingrain into people, to eat more. So I tell them, eat more to the point, because you can't, it's not possible for you to just keep eating and eating. Eventually your body's going to say, stop, I've got enough of what I need.
Well, look, our modern standard American diet has very hyper palatable refined carbohydrates. And so when you eat real food-based proteins and fats from mostly animal sources, yeah, you're right. The body has a very natural mechanism for stopping you when you've had enough. In fact, there's been some studies. Jeff Volek is one of the big researchers in the low-carb ketogenic world. He did a study once where he put people either on a low-fat diet with like 1,600 calories, low-fat, high-carb, or they were on a low-carb, high-fat diet ad libitum, meaning eat as much as you want. And guess what happened? They ate exactly the same number of calories as the low-fat group, spontaneously, because their bodies didn't want more food than that. And so we think that we need to kind of count calories. And if you listen to satiety, listen to how you feel. I remember Dr. Westman on my Clarity books, he was talking about eating to 80%. And so when you eat 80%, it's a subjective thing, but you kind of stop yourself at some point and go, okay, I'm content. And that ends up being the right calories for you.
Right. Actually, that is key on carnivore. So I noticed that I used to coach where I used to tell people that, hey, and I noticed that with myself. So I used to always read these forums and they would say, if you're having this and this problems and cravings, that means you're under eating. And I never understood that. So I started stuffing myself, because I was like, okay, everybody knows what stuffing is. I know what Thanksgiving stuffing is. And so now that's how I start to coach. I'm like, look, every meal you have, you eat like it's your job. So in other words, when you're full, don't stop there. You keep going until you just cannot take another bite. And that enhances the carnivore diet, where it's so easy. No cravings happen. I mean, when I say cravings, they may have like a distant church bell sound where they can hear it. Yeah. They can hear it on that far, but it's not right. But it's not like right on them, where it's like you just takes you over, where you just have to reach for the carbs. And that's the important thing. But, you know, pretty much just to let you know, overall, what I've had through this journey, I'm 49. I can run a 7-minute mile now. I've done a 10-miler in a 10-minute mile pace.
Whoa.
Incredible. I've done a 5K in an 8.5-minute mile pace. And I can do 10 right-handed, one-handed push-ups. You know, I can do a full split. I'm like, do I have any business at this age to be doing any of this stuff?
Dude, that is so empowering. It's so inspiring, to the point that you got the attention of the people at Men's Health and Fitness. Why don't you tell us a little bit of that journey of how you got on their radar screen?
Yeah, that was interesting. Actually, it was totally by fluke and accident, really. I submitted my picture for Lifeonomics, you know, the Life for Fasting app. Do you know what that is? The Life for Fasting app?
No.
Okay, well, there's an app called Life for Fasting. It's got that blue heart and stuff.
Okay.
I use that for my app. So they asked one day for everybody who uses their apps to submit their picture. So I've submitted my picture, and this lady contacted me. Yeah. So, and she was like very impressed. So she was like, look, your story is, I mean, your look is way too good for our story, but I know somebody in Men's Health. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, I think you should check out what Men's Health and see. I'm like, Men's Health, like the magazine? And she's like, yeah. So, and then I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, get me in contact with them. So I did, and I started writing to them. I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. So, they asked me a bunch of questions, submitted thousands of pictures to them. I swear. I mean, I was submitting all kinds of pictures. And because, I was like thinking after they hear the carnivore thing and fasting, they're probably not going to publish me. Well, sure enough. I'm in Men's Health, not the magazine, but their website. So I was pretty happy with that. Yep. So, that's how I got on there.
So guys, so he's currently in a competition. When did the competition start?
The competition started about a month ago.
Okay. So you were in a big pool of guys for Mr. Health and Fitness is what it is. Let's see if I can get that to show up on the screen. Oh, stop making it hard to see. Okay. Trust me, it says Mr. Health and Fitness on the screen. And how many guys were a part of that first round?
The first round was like, what I counted was like, I think it was 50 people in my group.
Okay. So they split you up into different groups. You had people in your group, and you ended up finishing first in that first round?
Yes, by the last second.
Yes.
So I was second place up to like the last 15, I don't know. So everybody out there really pulled out, and thank you, Jimmy, for your support on that, because without your people, I couldn't have sure done.
And I know my friend JC, Lady Carnivore, also helped you out. And lots of us are rooting for you. So guys,
Dr. Baker helped me out. Yeah,
absolutely. He is currently in the quarterfinals, and he has to be in the top 4. And as you can see on the screen, he's currently 7th place. Yeah. So we need you to go vote for Raymond, because how cool is it that a major muscle magazine is featuring a carnivore diet success story? You just heard him talk all about how he got to this point here. And how amazing would it be as a huge kind of testimony to, you don't really need the carbs that they tell you need to build muscle and to have this kind of look on your body. You can do it with an animal foods-based diet. So I wanted to bring you on a special Sunday episode. I don't do interviews on Sundays, but I was like, dude, we have to get you on to tell your story so people get to know you more. Go to Raymond's profile, Raymond Nazon. Say it again.
Nazon.
Nazon.
Yeah, you're actually saying it even better. It is Nazon.
Is it? Okay.
It's a French name.
So yes. Raymond, go to his page, Raymond Nazon, and he's got the link right there. You click on the hyperlink, and it takes you right to the page, and then you scroll up, and you hit that vote. You can vote daily. Here's the important part. Vote for him daily all the way through this Thursday. And this Thursday, it will cut off at 10 p.m. Eastern time. You can vote daily. And look, we've got enough people in the low-carb, keto, real food, paleo, carnivore movement. This man should easily get in that top 4, if not the top spot. And if he gets through this week, there's one more week next week where he's in the finals. And so we may need you again next week. Yes. But I was like, we got to get Raymond on. We got to pull him over the finish line with the semifinals. Your story is amazing. I'm utterly amazed at your transformation. Anybody that looks at that and says, yeah, that carnivore is nothing, I'm like, do you have eyes? The man has radically changed his body at an age, by the way, you're not supposed to be able to radically change your body. And yet you did. Like Sean Baker is quite the inspiration as well at 53, 4, whatever he is. But 49, dude, this is awesome. And on behalf of everyone in this community, congratulations. We're very proud of you. We're all rooting for you right now that you can get this distinction. So what happens if you win?
What happens if I win? They will put me on the cover of Muscle and Health and Fitness and
Whoa.
have a 2-page spread.
Whoa.
Yeah, that would be a big deal. That would be right.
Guys, if we want to get the message out there about this way of eating, because they'll have to talk about carnivore.
There's no way around it. They're going to have a 2-page spread, and they've got to tell the truth about me. And that's all I'm going to say is carnivore, you know. So carnivore, I'm going to talk about fasting. I'm going to talk about how I got there.
You know what would be cool is if on the front cover, they let you have like a raw steak and you're like.
That'd be tight.
Like,
that'd be tight. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm already your publicist now trying to help get that started.
There you go, Jimmy. That's right. That's right.
Dude, well, great job. Do you have a website or anything like that?
I do not. I do have.
By the way, guys, he will very soon have a website because I'm urging him here today.
Oh, okay.
And you need to start like you're very articulate. You're very likable on camera. Dude, you should do a podcast. See, I'm already planning your entrepreneur future here.
Yes, you're not the only one. Bella's been trying to.
Yes.
Yes, Thick and Butter Gal. Yeah, she's been trying to get me into that side of it more. So. Well,
if you need help brainstorming ideas, reach out to me. I'll help you out with that. I do marketing stuff all the time, so I'd be happy to come up with a cool name. But dude, you are an inspiration, and I hope you realize that. And I know you were reticent about getting your story out there. You were talking on your Instagram Live the other day how you were just living your life, and so many people were like, hey, tell me more about this, and you couldn't help it. You had to get out there, and now look at you.
Yeah. No, and I really appreciate you for your books. By the way, I read, except for Keto Clarity, but that's the only book I didn't get from you. But yeah, which I'm planning to get. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a signed copy when I come down to see you in Jax. Hopefully, you'll have your book there.
Yes, in fact, I'll bring you an autograph one. It'll be on me.
Awesome. Oh, no, I don't mind. I would like to pay for it just to show my support to you. Thank you so much for all you've done. I mean, you have no idea how much your work has been so meaningful for me too. That ultimate guide to fasting was crucial for me to even get started. So yeah, I love that one. That was great. So thank you so much for what you've done. And you don't know, I've been a big fan of yours. So thank you. So it's such an honor to be here talking to you.
Thank you. Well, you were worried about coming on with me today. And I'm like, dude, you dominated the show, man. You were awesome. You were really compelling. Hope everyone out there watching and listening to this today enjoyed this conversation. Again, go check him out, Raymond Nazon, over on Instagram, RaymondNazon, and click on that link in his profile in his bio so that you can vote for him. Vote every day. I know Casey talked about setting an alarm on her phone to remind herself to vote. I think I saw yesterday they even had a special little 8-hour period where your vote counted twice, and when I saw that, I immediately voted for you, trying to get that double. So they may do that during the week, kind of throw those in there. So go check it out, you guys. Raymond, thank you so much, my brother. Congratulations once again, and we're all rooting for you.
Thank you, Jim.
Get inspiration from the Living La Vida Low Carb Show. Hey, the livinglowcarbshow.com.
Woo! Keto Chow is a customizable shake mix that is also perfect for cooking and baking, giving you simple, nutritionally perfect meal options. Keto Chow. Make keto easy. Discover your favorite flavor at jimmylovesketochow.com.